والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. وقل ربي زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So continuing with the narrative of the prohibition of wine and gambling. And we've talked about that already extensively in terms of the tadrij of tashriya, the incremental prohibition, the process, and the creating a fertile ground to accept these prohibitions. And we talked about that through the medium of dawat and tarbiyah and ta'aleem. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, that people perceive that there's some benefit in wine and gambling, and however the itham, the sin, and actually the detriment extremely outweighs any real or perceived benefit that might be there in either one of these items. So, since we live in an environment where it's pretty much a socially accepted and even legally accepted norm that people, they drink alcohol, beer, wine, whiskey, etc. Some of them have higher levels of alcohol, some have lower levels of alcohol. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam mentions that anything which a large amount causes intoxication, even a small amount, is forbidden. Ma yuskar kathiruhu fa qaliluhu haram. So that means that not simply wine, but wine, what is the underlying factor that brings about the prohibition? The intoxication, the process or the event of intoxication, which alters the mental process. And since we have important mission in life, and since the mental process is that which the human being supports and also pursues, what is beneficial for him and beneficial for his family and society. Without that aql, without that intelligence, without being corrupted, then it causes corruption in the individual, the family, the society at large. And even though people, they find some, so what are the perceived benefits? In the cold countries, they say we need to drink it to keep us warm. The Arabs used to say we eat the flesh of camel, which is very tough on digestion, and so we need this wine to help the digestive process. Actually, the fact of the matter is, scientifically, it ruins the digestive process. And recently there's an article that I read just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and it happens to be a study at the University of Oxford. And the title of this study was that there is no safe level of alcohol. In other words, even the small amount or a large amount, it's going to affect the brain. And it actually disturbs the gray matter, which is where all the intelligent process takes place. So even a small amount of alcohol is going to be detrimental and is going to be brain destructive. It causes malfunction of the stomach, reduces desire to eat. It even causes, facial distortion and body distortion. When we were children, by the way, I don't know if they still do this in America, but when we were kids in grade school, I remember this vividly. There used to be a fellow who used to come from the public health sector, and he used to show a film. And in that film, they used to show the dangers of alcohol. And they showed the brains of two individuals. One was a brain of someone who never drank, and his brain was very firm, and intact. And then they showed the brain of a person who was an alcoholic, and his brain was like a plate of spaghetti, literally. So it's totally destructive, So there's it destroys liver also. We know that many people, particularly in the industry I used to work in the music and show business, people used to die of liver malfunction as a result of drinking. So the main thing is that it ruins your brain. It ruins it ruins your reasoning process. And when your reasoning process is defected and corrupted, then obviously all of your actions are going to be corrupt. So, and even after the intoxication, the next day or few, that concept of hangover, the ill effects which are still there within the body. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, Shaitan wants you to drink and wants you to become intoxicated, and through the medium of intoxicants and gambling, as we're going to see very soon, and we've all witnessed that, animosity is developed between people. So coupled with the fact that the reasoning processes have been altered and corrupted, and then animosity takes place, so what happens? Fighting, malice, rancor, it even ends up in murder. It can end up in tribal warfare, and this has happened, in a number of times. And we mentioned even the incidents that happened there with Sahaba, where Nabi Sallallahu ultimately, raised his hands and say, "Oh Allah, give us a bayan shafi, for this." So it's not only an evil of itself, but it also is a destructor. It's, as they call it, yani al khaba'ith, the mother of all evils. And so physically, socially, and in all other ways. And even the fact that when people lose their reasoning process, even secret things that they need to keep become revealed. And therefore, in spy agencies, what they do is they try and get, the people they're spying on to get drunk. And then they, let out all the secrets, that they get. So it's even a political risk. It's even a national security risk. So the evils, let us just look, is there any real perceived benefit that can even stand up and even claim, to challenge all of those evils individually and socially? Absolutely not. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ. So are you going to leave it? If you're intelligent and you have reason with you, obviously you would do so. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum.